Hey, welcome to another edition of Dan's Models. This is John with
Dan.
as usual, and we have another HO scale model here, and it's flashing at me, Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is an Atlas HO scale GP40 model that I've
modified heavily.
modified somewhat. Yeah, it's actually the factory paint job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did not paint this one entirely. Just touched it up in spots. This represents one of the Southern Pacific and Cotton Belt GP40M-2s that were rebuilt GP40s that came out of Morrison Knudsen and were used by the railroad in the 90s pretty much. So it fits right in with my era. And I just basically added detail to it and weathered it. I also added sound. It has a Loc Sound Select sound decoder in it, and that also is controlling the lights and everything. I added the ditch lights. It didn't come with those, so I did these with surface mount LEDs so that they're completely contained within the ditch light casting, and there's no wires sticking out the back or anything like that. I also put a Details West plow on it, and aftermarket MU hoses, and aftermarket uncoupling levers, that kind of thing. It's still got its stock handrails.
Yeah,
I changed.
they do look kind of thick.
Well,
I mean, compared to what you normally do with your brass.
maybe slightly.
Yeah,
Maybe slightly, but I could always change that at some point if I wanted to. Although these they're not that bad.
Well, I'm not saying it looks like a Tyco or anything like that.
No.
I just think they look thicker than the brass ones you usually use.
Yeah. I changed the windshield wipers. I think they're A-line wipers. Also put brass aftermarket sunshades on there because the Atlas model came with some, but they're plastic and they're really thick and clunky looking. I didn't like it. I added the AC unit and antenna stand.
What about the beacon?
That's also, there's a Details West beacon that has a surface mount LED mounted in it. That I did that myself, and with the Select decoder, it actually has a pretty nice beacon simulation. So I really like the way that it looks. So it seems to be, if you play with the timing of the flashing, it looks like a lot of SP engines I saw I've seen in videos. Because actually the SP lights, they weren't actually rotating. They had like four different bulbs in there, and they would light up in a sequence. So
oh, really?
It looked like it was rotating, but it really wasn't. So it's really hard to simulate. I mean, I've seen things where you could try to put like 3 or 4 LEDs in there, but that would just be.
Wouldn't it be too big or something?
It would be more trouble than it's worth,
yeah.
I think. Maybe like an O scale or something, but this is just a single LED. And I did change the fans. It had see-through fans, but I really like the Canon fans better, so I used those. I also relocated the air horn to the back, just following prototype photos. I did some modifications on this side. This little box here is a Details West part, and I also added some blank covers for I think I'm putting my finger in front of it, but there's a little circular fuel gauge that was on the fuel tank on the real one at one point, but then they covered it up with a little blank. So I had to make the little blank thing and put that there. And just, lots of little details like that. Also on this side, it has the anti-wheel slip controls, which are the little wires coming up. It's kind of look like speed recorders, but they're on every axle.
Yeah.
So that's on the
it's a lot of detail. Huh?
Fireman's side, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty good model to begin with, but I just added more stuff to it, and of course the KD scale couplers and all that. So
yeah, I see those lift rings are the little eye bolts you use normally.
Yeah, those are the little eye bolts, which have gotten very hard to find for some reason. But yeah, I use these. They actually have I forget who makes them now, but there's another source for lift rings that are actually made of metal. They're a photo etched part, and I've used those also recently. I think this one has got the Detail Associates eye bolts, but These other metal ones actually work pretty well too, and they're the same kind of thing where you drill a hole and it actually is stuck into the model. I would never again use the little plastic lift rings that they sell, because they look fine when you put them on, but you just touch it and they're broken.
Part of the same reason why you usually replace your wind or your sun visors with metal, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because if I did this with a plastic one, it would fall off. Whereas these, they can. I wouldn't say they can take a lot of abuse. I mean, you can break these too, but you have to work at it.
Yeah, well, more so than the plastic, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it looks really neat. Did we get to see it run?
Sure. I set this up so that I can turn the number boards off independent of the headlight.
Yeah.
And which is one thing I like. I really hate it when the number boards and the headlight are kind of married together. This is really not very realistic.
Is this a fiber optic / LED setup like usual?
Yeah, it is. And of course, the ditch lights are independently controllable either. I don't have them programmed to flash because SP didn't do that.
Yeah.
They're just on. But anyway, yeah, everything's independent and it's all LED driven. So.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it looks. It was pretty. Like I said, it was a pretty good model to begin with, but I think it's even better now.
One thing I like about this one in particular is that the lights all look kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed sometimes that the ditch lights will have almost like a different color temperature to them, and I don't remember ever seeing that on a real train.
No, you usually don't. It's difficult because if you're using the surface mount LEDs for one, and like I usually use the 3mm LEDs. Actually, the LED is actually mounted somewhere back inside the shell, and it's just fiber optics are carrying it to the lenses. But it's sometimes hard to match the color between the two, even though they're supposedly both warm white or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Different manufacturers may have a slightly different setting for that.
In fact, sometimes even the surface mount LEDs will have a slight variation in color between them, even if you get them out of the same batch. So I don't know why that happens, but I've noticed it.
Production variation, probably.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes I'll actually sit there before I install the LEDs and we'll play with them and try to match a pair so that they are reasonably close in brightness. And
that's a smart idea.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway.
Well, yeah, looks great. I'm glad I got to see this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's a nice little GP40.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, another edition of Dan's Models in the books, Dan.
Yep.
And thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.